Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So this is my Wednesday video, and if you've watched my channel before, you will know that generally I tend to do baby names videos on a Wednesday, but everything recently in my life has been a bit like everywhere, a bit hectic, because I've recently launched a new business, the Milky Tea Company, selling breastfeeding t-shirts, and it's been going really well, which is brill, but means that I am very busy doing that, and so yeah, I don't have as much time to upload videos. So I'm still going to try and upload on a Wednesday, and I will still be doing baby names videos. I just won't be doing them every Wednesday. But if you are keen on baby names and wanting to check out a video, I will link one below to another vlogger who I mentioned in last week's baby names video. She has made a video on baby girls' names, and I absolutely love all of them. So if you want to head over to her channel, I will link it below because some of her names are really lovely. So yeah, you can check that out if you would like. But today I'm not talking baby names, I am talking baby sleep, or more specifically, toddler sleep. I have already made a video on how to get a baby to sleep, sharing some tips that I was given from sleep trainers, because I've had a lot of issues with Sienna, who's my youngest, and trying to get her to sleep. And finally, for about the past, I'd say 6 weeks or so, she has started sleeping through the night. Woohoo! She's now 2, so you know, I had nearly 2 years of sleep deprivation, so I'm so happy she is finally sleeping. But I thought I would make this slightly more updated version of the video because children change a lot and babies change a lot, and reasons that babies are maybe waking when they're maybe a few months old can be very different to reasons why they're waking up when they're, you know, 18 months to 2 years old or even slightly older. So I thought I would make this one to let you know what helped us and what worked with us to get Sienna to sleep. Not every baby is the same, and it may not work for every baby, but I thought I would share my tips and what worked for us. Before I go into some of the things that helped us though, I just want to say as well, there is a brilliant forum on Channel Mum. Many of you know I already vlog for Channel Mum, but yeah, they have a forum and I will link it below, and there is a sleep expert called Maggie on there, and she's so helpful. And I did contact her a couple of months ago because I was at the end of my tether and I was like, please help me. She got back to me really quickly, and she's great for getting advice. So if you're feeling a bit like, oh, I don't know where to turn, I don't know who to ask for advice, then please go onto the Channel Mum forum and yeah, ask, you know, a little question about sleep, and you can maybe specifically ask for Maggie, the sleep expert, and I'm sure she will get back to you with some amazing advice. So never feel like you're like, I don't know where to turn to, because there is that option for you. So yeah, please check that out if you're really struggling with sleep. Okay, now I just want to go on to what worked for us and what my tips are for getting a toddler to sleep. The first thing that I would recommend is playing music all night long. And this may be like, how on earth do you do that? I will tell you in a minute. But what we used to do with Sienna is we used to play some music through this little Fisher-Price device, and it plays music I think for about like 20 minutes, and it also lit up, which is really good because it acts like a night light, and then the music helped to soothe Sienna to sleep. But the problem was it only lasts 20 minutes, so in the night if Sienna got into kind of a light sleep and was starting to wake up, it would be silence in the room. And toddlers are much more aware of their surroundings, much more aware of kind of being alone and things like that, and they can suffer from night terrors and also issues with attachment. So if they suddenly are waking up and there's silence and there's darkness, then they can get really scared, and I definitely think that's what was affecting Sienna. She would wake up and really start screaming, and sometimes we just couldn't settle her, so I think she was having night terrors. So we decided to start playing music the whole night through. Now you probably could get like a CD player and a CD and just play it on repeat, but what we used was, we have an iPad, so we put on, this is just 12 hours of lullabies, and we put 12 hours of lullabies on the iPad, plugged it in outside her room so that the battery wouldn't sort of die, and we plugged it outside her room so it wasn't inside her room to like stimulate her, and we would play that all night. One hint I would say is to make sure you turn off the iCloud or disconnect it from the iCloud, because if it's connected to your phone and you get a message, then it can bleep through the night, it can ring and things like that. So disconnect it from the iCloud, and it's free if you've already got an iPad. So, and it's worked really well for us. So we just let that play the whole night, and since we started using that, we have seen such a change in her and a lot less waking. In fact, since we started using it, she started sleeping through the night. So that's definitely my first tip. My second one is kind of slightly related to that. And it's using, oh, where's the other device? What have I done with it? Oh yeah, it's this one. I've got so many bits and pieces here. And it's this, it's a grow clock. And you may have seen these or heard of these, and we plugged this in. This clock lights up slightly, it has a little face and it lights up. So it acts like a night light, and it just also means that Sienna has some sort of light in her room. Any kind of night light, I would say, works really, really well. So I think sometimes, again, they need a little bit of light because the darkness can scare them. So for us, having a little bit of light in the room helped. This just allowed a little bit of light, and also it meant she could look over at it. And before she goes to sleep, we press it and we say, night, night, sun, hello, moon. Because what happens is it has a moon that comes out, and then the sun doesn't come back out until a time that you set. So say you don't want them to wake until 7 o'clock, then you make it so that the sun doesn't come out again until 7 a.m. the next day. So we would sort of say, night, night, sun, the moon would come on, she would feel like the moon was there watching over her, and she would know that she had to stay in bed until the sun came out. And yeah, having this has actually really, really helped us as well. It didn't work so well with my eldest daughter. So some things, as I've said before, work for some babies, and other things don't really work. It didn't work for Sophia, but for Sienna, yeah, I definitely think the grow clock has helped her, so we put that on every single night. The next thing that I would recommend having in the cot with your child or your toddler is some kind of comforter, whether it's a teddy or like a little comfort blanket, and just having something to snuggle up to not feel so alone. Recently, Sienna's really wanted her baby. She got a new dolly for her birthday, and she really wants baby in bed with her. She's like, dolly, dolly. So we put the dolly in bed with her, and that seems to keep her comforted. Whatever comforts your child, because when they're a toddler, as I said, they are more aware of being alone. And so if they've got a favorite toy, even if it's like a toy car or something, as long as it's safe, then if that will help them to feel like they've got something there and they're comforted by something, then yeah, I would really recommend, you know, putting that in the cot with them. Okay, the next thing I'm going to mention is something that's, I guess, a little bit alternative, and also I don't know 100% if it worked for us. I can't say for definite. It could just be coincidence, because they didn't seem to do too much, but after she had this therapy, she started sleeping. So it could just be coincidence, but it may have worked. And it's a thing called Bowen technique therapy. Bowen is B-O-W-E-N. And a friend of mine recommended it because it worked for her child. And I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. I'll try anything at this stage. And basically it's a bit like sort of cranial osteopathy, or a type of osteopathy, and they move certain parts of your toddler very, very gently. They do bits in their head and bits in their body. It's really tiny little movements, and it's about trying to get their body sort of back into alignment and getting everything working and functioning properly. I'm not totally sure how it works, but I had it for Sienna and she did start sleeping afterwards. I don't know if it worked or if it was coincidence, but you know, it was only a tenner. When you're trying to get your baby to sleep, if you can find somebody that does it for only a tenner, some places as well do it for free on children, so you could see if you could even get it for free. But for a tenner, do I think it's worth trying? Yeah, why not? It's a tenner, it may work. If you've tried it, let me know if it worked for you, because it did actually seem to work for Sienna. So yeah, I would say give it a try, and you know, you never know, it might work. The next thing that worked for us was feeding Sienna more in the day. And I know that that might be hard to do if your baby is a fussy eater, and Sienna was a really fussy eater as well. But we just slowly tried to find things that she liked, and you know, luckily she likes bananas, and we started to give her a banana just before bed at night. She still has milk, which I know some people will be like, what? She's too old. But if it settles her, if it gets her to sleep, then that's fine. Because I do think that there were times that she was waking up when she was a little bit hungry. So we started to give her a banana before bed, as well as she still had her milk, to try and feed her up. And in the daytime, we were just slowly trying to get her to eat more and giving her more of things that we knew that she would eat, so that she would just be more full and therefore not waking in the night needing a bottle. And once she started to eat more in the day, we definitely saw a difference with her sleeping at night. So if you can try and feed your children up a little bit more in the day, give them maybe a little bit more food, or maybe give them a banana just before bed, then that really helped us. Okay, the next thing is something which some of you may not agree with, and you may think, no, I couldn't do that. And I do understand why some parents think, oh, I hate hearing my child cry. It's not nice, nobody wants to hear it. But if you've been sleep deprived for, you know, a year and a half, 2 years, then I think you're usually at a point where you will try anything. And for us, we did just have to start getting to a point where we just had to leave Sienna to try and settle herself, because we were so exhausted. We knew when she was eating more that it was like, well, she can't be hungry, and at this age she shouldn't really be needing to be fed in nighttime. She was eating more in the day. We were like, she's fine, she should be, you know, she should be sleeping through by this age. We're just gonna have to leave her. And so we did. Sometimes you kind of have to give them a chance and see if they can settle themselves. Generally, we would only leave her for about 10 minutes to see if she would settle. And obviously if she was getting really distraught, then we would go into her. But if you try and leave it for 10 minutes and see how they're getting on, sometimes you can hear their cries starting to sound a bit more sleepy. So maybe leave it for 11 minutes or 12 minutes and just see if they do drift off to sleep. Because after a while, when we stopped going into Sienna, she started to realise, oh, they're not coming in, what's the point in waking up and screaming? And so she started sleeping through the night. The one thing I would say though is never leave a baby to cry if you can't see them. So I would really recommend getting a video monitor, because we were able to watch her and check that there was nothing, like she wasn't stuck in anything, she didn't have any blankets over her head, her arm wasn't stuck through the crib or anything like that. So we knew that she was safe and that she was okay. So for me, I couldn't have left her without sort of being able to see that she was okay. So then we could keep an eye on her. And it also meant as well, there were times we could check if she was lying down. So we could sort of see she was starting to get more sleepy. She was lying down. So it's like, okay, let's just leave her. We'll not go in and disturb her. Because sometimes going in and lifting her actually woke her up more. And she wasn't fully awake. She was just in that kind of wake sleep sort of stage. And by us going in, it woke her up, and then she would start screaming and wouldn't settle at all. So yeah, get a video monitor if you don't already have one, and leave them to cry for a little bit, and you know, hopefully they will start settling themselves, and will also start learning that, you know, you're not going to go into them every single time that they cry. Okay, the final thing then is something that actually you should maybe check before doing what I've just mentioned a minute ago. So don't ever leave them to cry until you know for definite that they're absolutely fine. But yeah, do get them checked over by a doctor if you're worrying that something is wrong and they're seeming really unsettled and you're thinking, there's just something not right, especially if they've been a baby that used to sleep and maybe they're not sleeping now. There may be a reason for that they just can't tell you. And actually with Sienna, she'd started sleeping through and then things went a bit backwards, and I was like, what's going wrong? What's happening? And it turned out that actually she had quite a bad chest infection. I knew she had a cough, but I didn't realize it had got so deep into her chest. And also ear infections are another thing that often we cannot see. So, you know, just check that it's none of those things, because once we put Sienna on antibiotics for her chest, she started to sleep pretty much straight away. So about 3 days after she started taking her antibiotics, and once that had cleared, she started sleeping through. So I mean, there's a lot of things that all happened around the same time. There are a few things that maybe were coincidence, but these are all the tips that have worked for me. And definitely I would check that your baby is okay and that there's no reason they don't have ear or throat or anything infection, or there might be something wrong with their tummy, or maybe they've not pooed in a while. So just keep an eye on those things before maybe doing any of the other things that I've mentioned. So those are just some of my tips for how to get a toddler to sleep. They may not work for every toddler. In fact, I'm sure they won't work for every toddler, but they worked for us. She is now sleeping through, yay! I really hope that some of them might help you if you're struggling with sleep deprivation, because I know how awful it is. Don't forget to check out the Channel Mum forum if you're struggling with any sleep issues. They also do like things on other things as well. They've got Emma Kenny, the psychologist, in there. So if there's anything to do with parenting that you're worried about, then head over there, because there's some really, really good advice. But yeah, if you've got any more advice about sleeping and how to get a toddler or a baby to sleep, please leave it in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you're all well, and I'll be back soon with another vid. Okay, take care. Bye.